Hello and welcome to Cricbuzz Live. I'm Saiyami Kher. India take on Australia in the third and final ODI before the big World Cup. A lot for Indian fans to cheer about. Our girls have won the gold. Rohit and Virat are back today. And DK is back in the studio today. Welcome, gentlemen. Hi, Zach. Hi, DK. Always nice to have you back here and not on the screen.
Thank you.
Are we all ready for a whitewash today? Because this is something that as a 90s kid, every time India beats Australia, it used to feel so special because it's that little rivalry that was always there. But surprisingly, this team is doing something which no other team has done before, trying to go for a 3-0 whitewash, which no ODI team has done before against Australia.
Yeah, if they do it, it will be a big achievement. And if you look at how the series has gone, you would think that it's just going to be very much possible. And I'm saying that because so far in this bilateral series, we've not seen any resistance from Australia. This is not the Australian team which we can associate the last two ODIs with. Maybe the momentum which they had in South Africa, they managed to win the first two ODIs. After that, they lost 2 or 3 on the trot, and that is something which just carried on here. Pat Cummins also played in the first one as a captain. Then after that, he didn't play. So, that stability is also not there. So, there are certain factors. Maybe the playing 11 also is not the first 11. Starc is still not around. All those factors have played, but so far the competition was not enough for Australia to have some impact on this series. So, looks like 3-0 we will not be surprised with.
But DK, do you think we can say safely that India is going in as favourites into the World Cup? Is it like a bold statement we are making, hopefully with the 3-0 win, but even with what we've done in the last two ODIs, it looks like a team which is going in with as favourites?
For me, two teams are going into the World Cup as favourites. One is India, obviously in current form, the fact that they're playing in home conditions, a lot going for them. The other team is definitely England. They've found a way to win these big titles. They've won 2 on the bounce, 2019 and the World Cup now. So they know what it takes to win as well. And they've been a very consistent team. They play a power-packed form of cricket and they're really good to watch as well. So those two teams will walk in this World Cup as definitely favourites for this tournament. And, lo and behold, how the semi-finals and finals would pan out would be interesting to watch. But India is in a very, very, very good place going into this World Cup.
But DK, having said what you've said, again, that 1990s kid who has been scarred, if I can say, as an Indian fan, because there's something about Australian World Cup campaigns. It's almost like better than some Bollywood love stories because they just get something, they turn on something. They, in 2007, lost 5 games on the trot, but then they went and won 11 games on the trot. So this is a team that we can't rule out, even... We can say they've underplayed it in this series, if we can say that.
Well, that's always the case with these kind of tournaments. The nature of the tournament is completely different. It's not about how you get in the tournament. It's about how you peak in the tournament, I would say, and also that momentum we often speak about. Sometimes, like you've seen, it's not the first 11 which we've seen from Australia. So if everyone is fit and things are starting to fall into place for them as the tournament progresses, they are going to be a serious threat. There is no doubt about it. On paper, when you look at it, say Glenn Maxwell coming back, you have Mitchell Starc coming back. There is some weakness which was very evident in this series with regard to ball in hand for Australian bowlers. So all those small little adjustment, if they do it and they suddenly get on a roll, you've seen things change also. Now, it's just about getting to that top 4 is what everyone team will be thinking about looking at this tournament. It doesn't matter how you get there. Once you get there, it's just about having those 2 good days. So that's the nature of the tournament. I think Australia is far better team than this, what we've seen in the last 2 ODIs. So World Cup is going to be a different kettle of fish altogether as they get into it.
But DK, do you think it's almost like strategy where they've said that it's all right, we'll hold our cards close to our chest and not put out all our cards before the World Cup? Because it almost feels like Australia always has something up their sleeve. And going into the World Cup, it almost feels like they want everyone completely rested, everyone, no kind of injury at all. So it's something like on those lines that Australia is thinking?
And if you go by history, The last time they lost 5 matches on the bounce was before the 2007 World Cup. And my God, what a World Cup they had. They smashed every opponent along the way. And that was probably the most one-sided World Cup ever in terms of how well they played. They were literally unbeaten throughout the tournament and played some fantastic matches. We saw the end of McGrath there and all of them playing their last series. But Australia, very good team. There is no doubt about it. They have skill. And also when they've been pushed to the brink in many ways where they've been, people have said that not the greatest team. In the 2021 World Cup in Dubai, in the T20 World Cup, they weren't given a chance. I think there were quite a few new players. They didn't have a settled 11. But once they got to the Super 6 stage, some of the way they played, and then as Zach rightly put, you get to the semi-final, there's 2 good games after that, and that's what happened as well. They met Pakistan, and the way they found a way to beat them was phenomenal. I mean, they were literally losing the game, and they came back thanks to Wade and Stoinis and went on to win the game. So that's a team which knows how to win, and also to have history behind you after winning 5 ODI World Cups, that should say a lot as well as to how well they've played over a period of time. So it is always a powerful team, but if they continue in the same vein like they have played in these 2 matches, then they're going to have a very tough World Cup because there are other teams which are good as well and they will compete in India.
Well, the 2007 World Cup is something which I think most Indian fans have erased from their memory. It's almost like it never happened because
2007, first half.
Yes.
Second half was very different.
No, so we've the news from the centre is that Australia have won the toss. They've decided to bat first. There are a whole lot of changes, so we'll take a little time to show you all the teams. But one information is that Starc and Maxwell both will be playing today. So that's a relief for Australia.
Yeah, I think that's how they have planned their World Cup campaign, I would say. Playing 3 matches in India, getting that game time, getting certain individuals that exposure to the conditions. Maybe the figuring out those final tactics, how they want to approach the World Cup, all those sort of things. We've seen Mitchell Starc is that very important cog in that wheel of Australia, and last match you saw him getting ready. So I think he wants to peak at the right time. That's how they've used Mitchell Starc through and through. His World Cup record is phenomenal. So Australia would want him to continue with that kind of a form, and 100% fitness is what they will be keeping their fingers crossed on.
But like you said, he is that cock in the wheel. Like Starc is someone who's so lethal when he comes in his first initial overs, and that's something that Australia has struggled with because India's gotten off to great starts. With Mitchell Starc, that always plays at the back of your head, you feel?
A big threat.
Yeah.
Mitchell Starc, especially if he can bring the ball back in, which he did beautifully last time they played India in India. One of the main reasons why they went on to win that series, he's a force to reckon with. We have seen that the Indian top order could be vulnerable at times to left-arm medium pacers over a period of time. We've seen the likes of Bowl, Shaheen Afridi, and obviously Mitchell Starc is right up there. And they have troubled the Indian batters. So if you see the impact he could have on India, it's massive. And also the impact that he could have in the World Cup. He's one of those players, he gets on a song. We have seen in 2015 as well. He literally won you the game in the first over of a World Cup final. That's how good he is. He can dent oppositions. And he's a very skillful bowler. He's good up top. And he's very effective at the end, at the tail end of the bowling as well. The important part is if he gets his Yorkers right, he's a handful to deal with back end. But the beauty about him is the fact that just like Lasith Malinga, he can bowl Yorkers with the new ball, which is very, very effective because it swings and at times swings late as well.
Mm-hmm. But Zach, actually, again, Pat Cummins is someone who said that he's happy to become that one change because he has Josh Hazlewood and Starc opening. So he said that I'm happy to become the one change bowler because they're just so good at the top that he doesn't need to feature up there.
True. And also if you look at getting the maximum impact out of a bowler, Pat Cummins is more suited to be used in the middle overs because he's someone who can hit the deck hard, gets that extra bounce, constantly coming into the right-handers. So that is something which will work for him if he's used in the middle overs. When you look at Josh Hazlewood and Starc, like how you've seen them operate, or when is their maximum impact, is when they get the ball up to the batter. Josh will be looking to get that extra bounce, a bit of seam movement, and look to get people out in slip corner and caught behind. So that is something which how he operates. So for him to have that impact, it's better that he is used up top. For Mitchell Starc, with that extra pace, the ball coming back into the right-hander, if he's swinging, he's someone who we've seen likes to really go full and fast. At the stumps, so those kind of aspects gives Mitchell Starc also that freedom to go heavy, aggressive at the batter. In the process, if you see his economy, it's a little bit on the higher side. But Australians don't mind that because that's the role he has been put upon, and he does it beautifully. So if he's swinging the ball, he's always going to be a big threat for any opener.
All right, so we are going to now look at India's playing 11 because there are a whole lot of changes. I think Ishan Kishan is out because he has a viral. So they have slotted Rohit and Virat to open. Washington Sundar comes in. We don't see Ash after all that he did in the last game. Kuldeep is in, Bumrah is in, and Siraj is in. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 changes that we see in India today.
For a start, I was just imagining how hard Rohit would have found when the commentator asked what's the changes for the 11. There are 6 of them. I'm sure he wouldn't have got it right knowing Rohit Sharma. You can understand where they're coming from. I think a few forced changes as well. Some they've given rest, some have fallen ill. So they've just tried and found an hastily cobbled team at the last minute so that they can put up a good 11. It's good to see Bumrah and Siraj back in the thick of things. Prasidh Krishna earns his second game in this series. Kuldeep Yadav, the star. R. Ashwin, surprising.
Yes.
I thought they would have wanted to look more into him, but this tells me that they're going to stick with Akshar Patel more than anything else. I think the decision is loud and clear that they are going to stick with Akshar Patel because they've seen enough of Ashwin. They know what he can give. We've seen Zach say that you know what you can get out of Ashwin. I think they've reached that stage where they exactly know what they're going to get out of him. And knowing Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma and Ajit Agarkar for that matter, I think they'll stick to the squad that they picked in the first place. And we've heard that Akshar Patel will be back for the World Cup practice matches, so I think he'll be ready by then. Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma opening quite the combo. It just looks very good on screen, and the rest of them getting another opportunity to bat, especially the likes of Shreyas Iyer and Surya Kumar, to again go out there and show how good they are.
If I can just see the team up again, I think we've got only 5 batters and then there's Ravindra Jadeja that comes in. So we've got Rohit, Virat, Shreyas, Rahul, Surya. Yeah, well, there is Sundar as well, who is...
and Hardik not being there,
Yes.
you have to make that call. And I think that Hardik's spot is taken by Ravindra Jadeja in this scenario, and they're still looking to lengthen that batting as we've been hearing all the talks. So they've still tried to figure out what is going to be the ideal 11 for them to win this third game as well. The series is done and dusted, but still you would want the 3-0 kind of a result. So that's the approach there. Ishan Kishan obviously not playing because of fever. So that plan of theirs of maybe giving Ishan Kishan that one go at the opening slot has not been materialized.
Also, it tells you how important, as we keep saying, Hardik Pandya is.
Yes.
There are many players in this team. Some can be replaced and some cannot. He definitely falls in that category where it's very, very hard to replace him. He's one of the most valuable cricketers in world cricket, because there are not many who can bowl 140 and bat the way he does. He actually is right in the middle of that Indian team, giving him that flexibility and balance. And he's quite a player, as we know. But it's great to see that without him, the team looks very different. And with him, it looks a much stronger unit.
But Zach, just as a fan, it just feels so unnerving when you see so many changes just before like the World Cup. You are going to the World Cup in like what, 7 days? And we are so used to a World Cup campaign being planned much in advance. So yes, the great news is that whoever is coming into play is coming in with great form, is getting into great form. But it just feels like what is the 11 going to be, which just feels so unnerving as a fan. But clearly, Ajit Agarkar or Rahul Dravid are not unnerved.
Well, by and large, if you see it, this has been the plan. So when you have a specific plan, you're not unsettling individuals also in the process because they are preparing, knowing that, okay, these are the games which I'll be playing, these are the games which we have in hand. And this is what the thought process of the team management is in terms of trying players. What they have nicely achieved is that getting into the tournament, playing this last game right now, they've assembled before the World Cup campaign starts. So that gives you that one more extra match preparation under pressure. Because international game is international game. Yes, you will be playing warm-up games, but the intensity you will not be able to generate in those games. Here, it happens naturally. 3 or 4 changes were expected as the main players were coming back. So those changes were expected. Ishan Kishan was someone who no one was planning for, but Shubman Gill also was slotted for that rest, which was a pre-planned thing. So they didn't want to now rush him also into things, change his routine. They've just said that, okay, we'll manage now this game, we'll figure out. So that's how Washington Sundar comes in, and Ashwin misses out from this playing 11. But on the whole, I think if you look at it, they've ticked a lot of boxes nicely. And what I like about is that clarity in thought process. If you're clear about what you want to achieve, result is secondary. You are, it's after doing all this, it's still not going to assure you a World Cup win.
True.
You still got to go out there, follow your processes, do whatever you've been doing, planning, preparing for. Everything has to fall into place. That you will not have control over. All you can do is just do things which are in your control and do it with utmost clarity, which they've been approaching right now the World Cup with, and they need to be applauded for that.
All right, so let's see what Australia's process is for today's game, and we'll have a look at their playing 11. We know the two changes in. So there is Tanveer Sangha who comes in, there's Pat Cummins who's in, there's Starc who's in, then Maxwell comes in, and Mitch Marsh is in again. So this DK seems like a more solid Australian 11 as opposed to the last two games, you think?
Very, very close to what they would be playing their first World Cup match with. The only two changes could obviously be the fact that Stoinis comes in place of Labuschagne. There's a good opportunity there. And obviously the Adam Zampa coming in for Tanveer Sangha. These are the only two probable changes, but they have gone in with as good 11 as possible. I think they really want to win this game. 2-1 looks a lot better than 3-0. And also the fact that Mitchell Marsh, Glenn Maxwell and Mitchell Starc need games. I think Mitchell Marsh has played quite a bit, whereas these two other cricketers haven't played enough. And it's good to see them come back in. They form a very important, rather they play a very important role for Australia at different points of the game. With Maxwell, he bats back in and does really well, whereas with Mitchell Starc, he is somebody who they rely upon for wickets. So here are two cricketers who the ODI team looks a lot better with, and the fact that they've gone in with a strong team tells me that they want to go out there with a win. They have a couple of practice matches after this before they'll head into the World Cup, but this is as close a team as they can get in terms of the strength of what they have with the squad that they have.
DK, you spoke about Maxwell, and he's a name that I think Australia really wants to see in their playing 11. He's gone through his ankle injury. He's spoken about getting cortisone injections to keep himself fit and spoken about all of this. But he hasn't been in the best form, but he's that kind of a player who's like the Hardik Pandya of their team, right? Because he is someone they will back because he can come and shine on his big day.
See, one thing with Maxwell, if you have to sum up his career, he's always been that impact player. If Maxwell has scored runs in a particular innings, you will not be able to say the same about the next innings. There are batters when you see that, okay, that batter is in form, so you're going to have a patch. But with Maxwell, it's that uncertainty is always going to be there. But that impact of him is always a risk for any team. If he comes good, he is going to take the game away from you. That's the kind of career he's had. That's the kind of impact he's had on the game itself. So you can't really look at the numbers. What matters is he's in good space. He's prepared well. He's injury free and he's managing himself properly. If he's able to do that and he just gets on a roll, then he can be a big threat. But in terms of match practice and all those concerns, always going to be there. No one is so good that you just turn up and start scoring runs. But he has that advantage that the previous innings doesn't really matter to him that much. So whether in form, not in form, you always know that if he's walking in to bat, he might have that day, and then the game can be drifted away from you.
DK, he brings that balance to the side, and especially with what Australia has gone through in the past 7-8 odd innings, is they've been crumbling as a batting lineup. So I think Maxwell is that guy who will bring that balance to the side, you think?
He's become very clever with the way he bats. He's an impact player, just like what Zach said. And you can see the collapses that they've had, and a lot of it trying to chase down big totals. So they've been going after runs, especially all the ones, the last three in South Africa that they've played, they've been chasing huge totals, and hence that's happened. Whereas the other ones, when batting first, the main problem with Australia is they've sometimes given above par. So then we're trying to chase it down, they tend to lose wickets because they're going hard, and it probably suits the bowlers at that point of time. When it comes to Maxwell, if you see that stat where in the last 10 innings he's just scored 100 and odd runs, it's mainly because he's been injured. He's been playing in various places. He's played in Sri Lanka, he's played in Zimbabwe, he's played in India, he's played in Australia, in Darwin, which is not a great place to bat in. So he's played in some tough situations. Also, he's bailed Australia out in that limited time in those 10 matches. There was one game where they were 42 for 5 against New Zealand, but he found a way to stitch a 50-60 run partnership. So he knows that side of the game as well. He does a role which is pretty similar to what Surya Kumar is expected to do, go in back end of the innings and create that momentum and try and get the team to an above par score. And the fact that he can bowl very good off spin, he plays the role of an all-rounder. He is somebody who finds his place in the team, a very mercurial player. When he comes good, the team thrives on its success. And sometimes when he doesn't do well, I think the team is aware that he is a kind of player, because he takes huge risks, that there could be times when he doesn't come off. So I think he's a very loved player right there. And from the Australian point of view, he's called the big show, and it's not come out of simple reason. The fact that he's been doing so well in franchisee cricket. And if you take these 10 innings that we've spoken about, in between all of that, he's played tournaments and he's done well. In IPL, he did really well for RCB. He started with the fact that he had a bit of an ankle issue, but then came back into the tournament. He didn't field in important positions initially, but once he got the confidence, I think he started fielding in his usual long on and deep mid wicket in those tough positions. So he's a team man. He does everything required for the team, and he's quite a leader actually. He leads Melbourne Stars in the BBL, and he has a good cricketing acumen. Also a big cricket nut. Loves his cricket. Any match, Lancashire could be playing somewhere, he'll be watching that on his phone. So he's that kind of a person who loves his cricket. And I really wish that he does well, only because in many ways it could be his last World Cup as well. I don't know how long with the current T20 setup and the amount of cricket he's playing, I don't know if he'll be able to play for another World Cup. So it could be a very important World Cup from a personal point of view as well.
You know, like you said, Maxwell loves his cricket. There's so many people who follow Cricbuzz Live who love their cricket and they don't get to ask all the questions they want to. So we're going to take a Cricbuzz Live question, because I get a lot of complaint on my Twitter that I ask too many questions and I don't take up Cricbuzz Live questions. But this is from Jai Khidia. Since Zach and DK, both of you knew Rohit, I would say you all still know Rohit Sharma so well. What do you think he will be feeling right now, 10 days away from the World Cup? Do you think a World Cup win is important for his legacy?
Of course, for anyone, the World Cup win is very important. There is no doubt about that. And he himself mentioned that fact, right? Like last World Cup, he's had a terrific World Cup. He scored so many hundreds. Run scoring was just a breeze for him. And the team, if you don't go on to win and lift that cup, you know, you always feel that you know, the individual contributions, if they come in wins, then you feel very satisfied as a cricketer. So that's what he was trying to say. It's about as a team doing well. Different individuals are going to step up at different points, and that's what you've seen in World Cups. A tournament like World Cup, you'll see teams being put in tough situations, but they somehow have that belief and they get through that situation. Some individual will come out with a nice performance and get the team over the line. So those aspects are very important. And for him, somewhere, you know, that 2011, he was very close to being part of the team and was not been included in the World Cup squad. So as an individual, I'm sure that is something which he'll always feel. And that's what he would want to rectify before he goes on to other things. So I think World Cup, like DK is saying, comes in once in 4 years.
Yes.
So that makes it that much special, that much difficult also. So there will be a lot of individuals in this World Cup tournament will be thinking that, oh, this might be my last World Cup. So I need to give it all. I need to prepare. And they will be motivating themselves in that way. Rohit Sharma is no exception to that. I think he would want to win this World Cup and have that completing that circle of, you know, winning all the tournaments and trophies.
You know, DK, Rohit is somebody who just seems so relaxed and so unaffected, because that's how he looks like to the outside world, at least. His press conferences are hilarious. Just the way he is in public is hilarious, just so easy. But do you think he is someone who probably takes the pressure? You all know him personally. You all know how he is before big games.
He's again someone who prepares meticulously. I think he used to prepare meticulously as a batter first. Now he is doing that as a captain. He will know the matchups, he will know what is required in these ground, what the conditions are, how to get the best out of players. So he will be doing everything to prepare himself. Well, if you do look at Rohit Sharma's journey, he'll always be known as that talented player who won the 2007 World Cup and played a major factor in that. And you can ask any cricketer, I think if you do ask Zach right now, who's sitting right next to us, one of his you know, hallmarks of his career would be the World Cup that they won in 2011. The fact that he was the best bowler for India there adds the cherry on top to it. But even if he didn't bowl well in the World Cup, he'd take the World Cup win than have a superb World Cup and not end up winning the tournament. I think Rohit Sharma went through something like that in 2019. I don't think he can recreate what he did in 2019 World Cup, scoring 500, 686 runs at an average of 80 plus. And the consistent ease at which he batted in that tournament was phenomenal. But even if he doesn't score 686, I think Rohit is the kind of player who needs to get runs in the tournament because A, it helps his captaincy a lot of the times. B, it gives the team the momentum at the start, because the one thing that is synonymous with Indian cricket in 50 overs is when he does well, Indian cricket does well. There is no doubt about it. Where be the 200s that he scored, very rarely would you find Rohit Sharma get 100 and Team India doesn't win. So he is such an important and pivotal role. My only wish is sometimes he thinks so much for the players. He takes a lot of the pressure from the players. At times, his batting has taken a hit because of that. If he comes good with his bat, I can promise you Team India will be in the pink of health through this tournament. But there have been quite a few tournaments actually where he's done so well and ended up winning, like the 2013 IPL. But there have also been a tournament like the 2020 that happened in Dubai. He didn't have a great tournament, but he did so well as a captain. They dominated the tournament throughout, but got a good 50 in the final. So he is capable of producing runs when it matters most as well. With his experience, he wasn't even fully fit, still ended up playing and did well in that final. So he is somebody, when he gets going, the team more often than not benefits. And I genuinely wish that he continues the form that he showed us in Asia Cup. That will keep India in really good stead. And I think every Indian fan will be watching him closely, because Rohit Sharma doing well is pretty much India doing well.
Yeah, Rohit Sharma doing well is pretty much India doing well, and Jasprit Bumrah doing well is pretty much India doing well as well, because India is bowling first. So just a little bit on Bumrah, Zach, you spoke the other day about how he's looked way more impressive after he's come back from his injury. So he's just somebody who brings so much energy to the bowling lineup.
Yeah, I like the fact that the outswing was flowing very nicely. You know, that release. He always had that
real happiness in Zach's face.
It's just about adding to your bowling and your approach to the game, right? So I always used to have that conversation with him, saying that, you know, if you bowl outswing, are you just going to create havoc for batters, further to what you've been doing right now. So don't be happy with what you have right now, which is, you're troubling the batters so much. But if you add this, it's again going to have that major impact. Those glimpses I saw in whatever I have seen in the recent matches which he's played. He's trying to ease the load on the back also. So you saw that different slight adjustment in the run up. Looking to run a bit more quicker than what he used to do. That acceleration is a little different. But what I liked was those outswingers, which he was consistently bowling with the new ball. The swing is increased than what we've seen before with regard to outswing. In swings, again, you're just rechecking whether whatever you were doing earlier is happening or no. Yes, those are coming. You've seen that brilliant slower one also, which got Mendes out as he was looking to free his arms at that stage. After that, the in-swinger, the Yorkers, all those are ticking boxes. But outswing is going to be very, very important delivery in his armory. There's no doubt about that. It's going to take his wicket-taking percentage higher. I have no doubt about it.
DK, Zach was looking like my maths teacher who thought when I did well in my maths, which I never used to otherwise, but she had this smile on her face. Zach had this smile on his face talking about Bumrah. But I think, Bumrah is somebody who is very, very important to Team India. And as a fan, you almost want to just safeguard his ankle, his injury, his shoulders, his back. You want to just hold on to him and ensure it and say that nothing happens, at least much longer, but at least not through the World Cup campaign.
You got to wrap him up in cotton wool for a start, and that's what they've been doing, and they've really taken care of him well. I think they've eased him into the setup, and it's good how they've taken care of him post his injury. Bumrah's special. I mean, you can only put in so many words how special he is. There are very few fast bowlers in the world who can take wickets through the three phases, and he is right up there with the best in the world. He has a very, very difficult action to pick. His release point is so different. The fact that he can swing the ball both ways. He always could bring the ball back in, but the fact that he's able to take it out is a nightmare for right-handers. Add to the fact that he's got a phenomenal slow one, and we all know how good he is with the Yorker. He is like the booster shot a captain needs. It's like, he is like that. Without that, you feel weak. I think that is what Bumrah is to the Indian team. When he is around, you can be confident that more often than not, you'll be having a good day. And the two key bowlers for us, for India, the rest of them can have ordinary days. The two key bowlers to stand up on big days would be Jasprit Bumrah and Kuldeep Yadav. And the simple reason being they're wicket takers. And if you want to win matches, just like the test format, you need to pick wickets. And these two guys will be looked at as the guys who can get those wickets for us.
Well, they need to pick wickets for us and we now need to pick our brains because it's time to answer Joy Bhattacharya's question. Let's have a look at the Joy Factor question of the day. 3 people, Kumar Sangakkara, Peterson and Padikkal, share second place in a specific list A record. Who is in the first place?
It's hard to even understand. Like, Sangakkara, I thought, okay.
Yeah, there are too many.
And then there is Alvaro Peterson, South African who's played a bit. And then there is Dave, that who's just starting out, who's doing really well. I'm not able to put these 3 together, but like.
And it's a list A record. To add to that.
I think, I mean, I don't know. I think there could be a Rajkot connect, if at all, because just going
these
by how
answers, you need to go type in Google and find out if there's some relevance and then bring it together.
Yeah.
You can't just answer it like that, right? You have to put an effort into figuring out how first 3 of them meet at some point. Then only you can get you have to decode the question. That is the first part before you can answer it.
Well, I don't think ChatGPT has the answers to Joy Bhattacharya's questions, but that's how it is. We'll try and decode it because we have to decode the question first, which we'll do when we have lunch. But we have to do something else, which we have still not won. We have not been close at all. I think you got a prediction game. You got a power play score right in the last game.
I think so.
Close by. Yeah, close by with the 2 wickets. So I think you start with predictions at the 50 over.
I'm going to stick to my prediction always, 295.
Oh, you're sticking to 295.
I'll go 343.
It's a pattern now. You're lower, higher, and I'm in middle. So 295, 343. I will go with 304. So close to, okay, I'll go with 307. So it's a little more than Zach, the 10-run margin.
10-run gap is what
10-run gap.
Okay.
All right, let's see if we get our prediction games right, and we are going to go and decode Joyce's question now. That's what we are going to do. But don't forget to join us at the 15 over point at the Cricbuzz com box. See you all there.